Hi there, and today I'm modifying not one, not two, but three Land Rover Defenders. So this is LEGO Creator Set 40650 and it's Land Rover Classic Defender. It came out on June the 1st, 2023, and it's got 150 pieces and it only costs £13.50 or $15, and I think it is great value for money. On the back of the box here, you can see they're promoting the larger LEGO Creator Land Rover Classic Defender set, and they're showing that you can take the roof off, but I think there's a lot more that we can do with this set than just take the roof off it. So we're going to have a build of one of them and see what we can do. And here we have the finished article, and I think LEGO have done a really good job at replicating what the the Land Rover Classic Defender looks like. It's got one sticker in the set, and that's this sticker on the 2x3 tile at the front, showing the grille and the Defender and the Land Rover logos. The two light clusters beside them, they're on 2x2 jumper plates, and that's actually a printed piece, so it's the same piece, obviously just turned around 180 degrees for each side. I actually would have preferred that to be a sticker as well, then we would have been able to stick it on different coloured jumper plates and recolor this whole set, but not a big issue. I still quite like this colour anyway. As it showed on the back of the box, you can take the roof off. It's got this nice roof rack on top of it, and then inside you can see they've attempted sort of a back seat here, and then there's a driver in the middle with a steering wheel. And what we're going to do now is just make a few minor modifications to it as it stands, and then we're going to do two completely different modifications and turn it into some different Land Rover Defender vehicles. But before we get into the modifications, if you end up liking this video, please do give it a thumbs up, and of course hit subscribe and click the bell icon to be notified of more LEGO videos. But onto the modifications. So first job, we're going to do a little bit of work on the inside. So if we remove the windscreen and the driver, we can take the steering wheel out and not place it in the middle. I'm going to place it slightly to one side, and obviously because I'm from the UK, that side is going to be the right hand side. And also, if we take this 1x6 tile off, we're also going to remove this black window frame that's used sort of hold that up, but it's quite structurally sound without it. And then we've only got a one plate lip between the driver compartment and the back, and what we can do then is we can add two regular LEGO seats in here and actually give it a driver's seat and a passenger seat, like so. Oh, that 1x6 has come off, and now we can place our driver to one side and she can actually have a seat to sit on while she's driving along. And if we replace the windscreen like so, readjust the wing mirrors, we've now got our driver in a proper driving position. The other minor modifications we're going to make are to the back of the vehicle. Now down here we've got a 1x1 yellow tile which is meant to represent the number plate, but that is mounted on a dark grey brick, so you can see the dark grey around that, which I think spoils it ever so slightly. Also the wheel is also mounted on a dark grey Technic brick with 1x2 with two Technic holes in it, and we can reduce that down and fill it in with yellow, and then we'll not have any grey showing around here. So once we've removed this back section of the truck, it's really easy just to pop off that 1x1 dark grey headlight brick, take the tile off it, and we're going to swap it for the same piece in the correct colour. Add the yellow tile back on, and then there you can really see the difference between the two colours. And then we're going to pop that back on there, and then you've got that no dark grey showing underneath. So we're going to do the same with the top. If we take that tile off and take off this Technic brick, we're going to swap that for a single Technic brick in the right colour, and then a 1x1 brick. Put the tile back on, of course add in that pin back into the hole, and when you put the wheel back on, there's no grey showing on this side. So we're going to reinstate that on the back of the truck, like that, and then we've got no dark grey showing around the back end. So that's all we're going to do with this one. I'm going to keep this one as in, bar those slight modifications, but the other two we're going to do some fairly more extensive modifications. So on to Defender number 2, and classically a Defender is a working truck, and quite often you see them as pickup trucks. So what we're going to do on this one, we're going to remove the entire back and move the wheel off the back of the vehicle as well. So first we've got to strip a lot of this down, and we're going to do that with a little bit of time lapse. So we stripped the entire Land Rover down to its basic chassis and not much else. And what we're going to do now is first do the same modifications we did to the other Land Rover to the back, but also remove that back wheel. So here's the back of the truck, and what we're going to do, obviously remove the wheel, take off those bricks on the top, and we're going to swap out that light brick again for one in the correct colour. And then instead of replacing these bricks back on top, we're just going to add in 2 1x4 plates, and then replace our tile on the back, and that gets replaced between the 2 light clusters and onto the back of the truck. Now around the wheels, what we normally have are these inverted slopes which sit behind the wheel arches, so the brick doesn't obstruct the wheel turning. But what I want to do is actually add doors to this one. So we're going to have to remove those and use the same technique that they use at the back here, which is have a plate and then just a 1x1 plate sticking down ever so slightly here. You do get that tiny gap, but it's better than having nothing, and we're not going to be able to use the inverted slopes because they're going to foul where the door needs to be. So we're going to use the same technique on both sides of the wheel arch. So here's the piece that did go across the top of the wheel arch there. What we're going to do is take these pieces off the top like that, and the one off the bottom as well. We're going to need an extra 1x4, and we can take that from the roof. So we're going to steal one of those, pop it on there, and then reinstate that 1x1 there, which will sit behind the wheel arch. But what we also need to do is add one on the other side. So now we've got the 1x4 and the 1x1s on each end of it. We can add that on top of the wheel arch like that, and reinstate it. And there we've got a square back with a nice space ready for our door. And I've done the same for the other side, stolen a 1x4 off the roof and added an extra 1x1 underneath. And that piece sits the same place on the other side. Then in front of the door we need to reinstate that wing mirror. So we're going to detach that, and obviously we've got lots of spare 1x1s. So we can pop one of those in there. Reattach the 1x2 which had the wing mirror on top, and we'll do the same for the other side. And now we've got both wing mirrors attached, we're ready to add the doors. And for these, I'm using these 1x3x2 doors, and they're just going to sit quite happily, one on each side, with their handily inbuilt door handles. And then they're going to be held in place if we add in that 1x4 grey plate again, and the windscreen. They're going to be held in by the windscreen and can open perfectly. And then lastly for the cab, we're going to do the same as we did for the first Defender, and we're going to add in 2 red seats ready for our driver and passenger. Our next job is to tidy up the back of the Defender, so what we can do is remove that 1x4 panel. I'm going to stick a 2x2 brick in between the 2 wheel arches, and we're going to keep the grey theme but add 1x2 panels on each side and a tile in between them. And then if we're going to get these corner ones in there, if it'll fit in. And then finally another 1x2 at the back. And then nice working truck, it's got a good working space for whatever they're using to put in the back. Now we don't want our driver to get wet, so we're going to obviously reinstate the roof. We're going to remove that window piece from the other one, and obviously we don't need these bricks with these studs on the side to hold the back windows in place, so we can remove them and just replace them with regular 1x1 bricks, like that. And then that can pop back on, and then we're going to add on the roof, but just leave off the back part. So we're just going to separate the two roof pieces like that. This front section had a 2x4, so we're going to get rid of that. And we're going to take the 1x4 off the back section and pop it in that gap. And then when we put it on like so, it clicks onto the two studs on the front of the windscreen, and we've got our new cab. And then once we reinstate the bonnet, we've got our completed cut down Defender pickup truck. But Jez, I hear you cry, what about that spare wheel we had on the back of the truck? Well, quite a few Defenders actually carry their spare wheel on their bonnet, so I thought we could modify this and attach it just up here. So for this, we're going to need to remove these tiles. So if we get rid of the 2x4 and the 1x2 tile, we're going to reinstate 1x2s around the sides and the back of the space. And then we're left with this nice 2x2 gap ready for a 2x2 jumper plate. And then obviously the stud on that connects with the axle hole on the back of the wheel, and we've got our spare wheel on the front of our pickup truck. So now we've got our slightly modified short wheelbase classic Defender and a pickup version of the same vehicle. But what about the third version? Well, for this I've taken inspiration from my favourite Land Rover, which was called the NAS90, which is NAS stood for the North American spec, and Land Rover sent these over to North America with a very specific kind of specification. Now the 90 stood for the length of the wheelbase, which was 90 inches, and if you search on Google for Land Rover NAS90, you actually find an awful lot of them were in this yellowish colour. So I thought that would be the perfect variant to turn our third Land Rover into. Now the NAS was very much a leisure vehicle and not a working vehicle, and for our modifications we've got to do a lot of stripping down to start with, so that's what we're going to do first. So here's our stripped down Land Rover once again, and I've done the same to the back. I've swapped out that headlight brick and that Technic brick, so it's all yellow, and that's going to be reinstated in the back in a moment. But first of all, what we're going to do is add some of these 1x1 plates with a hole in the middle at various points around the vehicle. So we're going to put two on the back, like so. Then we're going to do two halfway down, and two at the front. Now the front ones now foul up where these plates were. So what we're going to do, instead of having 2x3 wedge plates, we're going to have 2x2 wedge plates in front instead. So here's our shorter 2x2s, and they sit just in front of the wing mirrors like so, and then we can take off the curved tiles from the 2x3s and put them back as well, like so, and then we can reinstate the 2x4 behind them. Now our next job is to get these short bar pieces and put them in these clips, and we're going to get 4 of those and put them in the 1x1 plates with holes in them. So by now I imagine you've worked out that this is the roll cage that used to hold up the soft top, and these are the supports that are going to attach it to the vehicle. We just need to now make up the frame which goes onto the roof, and for that we're going to use a lot more of these clip pieces. So the 2 crossbars are using just regular 4 long bars. I'm going to put a clip on each end of it, and we've got 2 of those. And then for the bars that go down the side of the vehicle, we're going to use these 6 long bars with a stopper on them. The stopper doesn't actually matter in this instance. Then we're going to put these pieces on the end, which have a bar on the end of each of those as well, and they're going to attach to the clips on our uprights that we've already attached to the vehicle. So we're going to have 2 of those, 1 for each side of the vehicle. And then lastly at the front, we're going to do the same as we had behind. We've got a clip with a short bar. They're not going to actually stand vertically, they're going to stand out, and they're going to sit at an angle down the front of the windscreen, and so we've got 2 more of those. So back to our Defender, we're going to reinstate our windscreen at the front. Then we can get one of our side bars and attach a crossbar to it, and then attach the other crossbar, and then get the second side bar, and we should have our completed frame for the roof. Might just need a little bit of straightening up, and then we have our frame. Then I've taken the uprights off the back of the truck, and our frame attaches into the 2 clips at the back of that, like so. And when we reattach it to the vehicle, there, it can rotate forwards and attach into the 2 clips halfway down the vehicle, like that. And then lastly, for our roll cage, we get our last 2 clips and bars, which attach at the front like this, and when we angle them down so they point towards those plates with the holes in, but they don't actually go into them. And we do the same on the other side. That slopes down the windscreen on that side, and we've got our completed roll cage. Then to complete the look at the front of the truck, we're going to put a 1x2 tile in the middle of the windscreen there, and then 2 of these clip pieces, 1 on each side, facing inwards, and put a 1x4 bar across there. It won't actually attach to the rest of the frame, but it'll look like we've got a bar at the front. And then, just for vanity's sake, we've got 2 big spotlights to go on there for driving. Then we've just got a few details to do on the inside, and we've nearly finished our NAS90 Defender. So as with the other 2 versions, I've added in 2 front seats and moved the steering wheel to one side. And I'm going to add a 2x2 black brick between the 2 rear wheel arches, like I did with the pickup truck version, ready for the back. Now the NAS90 had back seats, but they were sideways facing, and obviously regular minifigure seats do lean back slightly. So if you try to put them in, they would foul against these the yellow sides back here. So what I've done instead, we've got, if we reinstate the back of our vehicle like that, I've got these 1x3 red panels, so they're more vertical, so they won't obstruct the sides of the vehicle at all. If we're going to pop those in there like that, 1 on each side, and then between them I've got these 1x3 tiles, but they're jumper plates, so they've got 2 studs in the middle, and they can go in the middle between the 2 panels. And then a minifigure can have the studs of their front legs on these, and then they can sit sideways facing in the back of the vehicle. And then our last modification, as I said, the NAS90 was very much a leisure vehicle, not a working vehicle, so I think it needs a little bit of bling. So I swapped out the plain black wheels for these nice silver alloys. We've got 5 of these, so we've got 2 on each side, and of course the spare one on the back, and that looks a lot more like a leisure vehicle than a working truck. And here we have our 3 finished vehicles. So we've got our regular Defender with a few minor adjustments, our pickup truck working version, and our NAS90 leisure version. I've been really looking forward to doing these modifications. Ever since the set was announced, I had in mind the sort of thing I wanted to do to it, which is why I bought 3 initially. And of course a lot of these modifications can be sort of mix and match. We can add the wheels to the regular version, or we could add the doors, we can put the wheel on the front on either of the other versions. So there's many different things we can do to each one. If you've got a favourite one of these 3, please do let me know in the comments below. If you've liked this video, please give it a thumbs up, and of course please subscribe for more LEGO videos.